like today's session I have to be in, right? I cannot afford to not be in.
So,
Hey, good morning, Anjali.
Good morning. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, everyone.
Yeah.
Hey, good morning, Anjali. Aviral this side.
I'm going to request you all to switch on your videos, please.
Yeah.
Hi, Ramya. Hi, Aviral. Hi, Madhu. Hi, Vimal.
hi Anjali.
Hi, Prakash.
Hi
Hi,
Anjali.
Malesh.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello everyone.
Hi, Nesta. Hi, Anil.
Hi.
Shrikant.
Hi, Anjali.
Okay, Arun, let me know when we can start. How are you guys doing?
All well.
Surviving.
Yeah, I guess as well as we can be given times, right?
Yeah.
Arun, what? Let me know when to start. I'm trying to figure out which one is Arun. Arun, the Wadhwani VFT is you, na?
Yeah, that's right. We have 15 participants and we are 4 minutes in. I think Anjali, you can start.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah. Okay, so the way this session is going to go is, see, I honestly believe, right? I have a background in facilitation, training, and all of that. And I honestly believe that all of the answers lie within us, right? It's literally why the person who takes the session is called a facilitator.
Yeah,
All they do is they facilitate the answers to come out.
Can't even see. Password is 1234.
Yeah, I see Arun is muted, but he seems to be heard. Farah?
Zoom password 1 second. I'll have to log
Yeah,
out and check.
yeah.
1 second.
Okay. Let me just ping him. Yeah. Sorry about that.
No, I'll ping you the password in 1 minute anyways.
Arun, we can hear you. Vimal is smiling. Yeah, so I was saying, all of us have the answers within us, right? To most of the questions in life, literally. Sometimes I get a little philosophical, but all we need to do is we need to be facilitated so that the answers come up, right? So that's what I'm going to attempt here. And especially in a scenario like this, where each of y'all, right? Each of y'all have a lot of experience, a wealth of experience, right? In different domains, in different aspects. So the way I look at this program rolling out or this workshop rolling out is that each of y'all bring in your inputs, your learnings, your experiences to this session, right? And I'm going to go really, really fast because, we have just 1 hour. And if I'm going too fast, please slow me down. If I'm going slow, you can. It depends on each person's likeness, right, to what pace you like. But you can feel free to give me your feedback, right? And take off all these mutes, just participate with me, share your thoughts all the time. That's my only request for this program. We have literally 1 hour together. And again, when you are sharing your inputs, try to be really quick so that, many people get a chance and, we cover more in the given time. With me on this?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, sure.
Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to request others, if possible, please switch on your videos. Otherwise, I understand. But when you have a face, it just becomes so much more real. The learning becomes real because see, y'all are here because you're here to gain something from this workshop, and
Right.
I want you to do that, right? So let's make maximum use of the time that we spend here by being present and being available to each other. Hey Akshat, hey Aljo, hey Santosh,
hey Anjali,
hey
how are you doing?
Avinash.
Anjali.
Hi.
Hi, Anjali.
Hi.
Sorry, have to intermittently switch off the video when I'm not getting the audio feedback. So I'm kind of connecting through a hotspot. So sorry about that.
Some of you will have those issues that I understand. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I may also have that issue in between. Not sure though.
Okay, okay, I know, I understand. So see, sorry, that was, this workshop has been conducted like, I think we have someone who's been part of the Microsoft cohort in here as well. That's Aditya and Avinash from First Hive. So this was a very famous workshop that we used to conduct. Essentially, we brought it back into this program because we saw that a lot of people took away a lot from this workshop, right? It changed their frame of operating in some way, and they had many wins. So this workshop is all about, it's nothing new to you if you ask me. I don't think what I'm going to talk about is new, but my sense is all of these concepts would have gone into a background for you because we know these things sometimes, but in the running of daily lives,
My
what
video
tends
is
to
on.
happen. Who's that?
Sorry,
No
it was,
problem.
yeah.
No problem. So you need something? No.
No, sorry. Please go ahead.
Okay. So what I'm saying is that these are extremely critical to always have in your foreground, and lens, like it should become the lens with which you view your business and your interactions in business. That's the objective of this workshop, right? And the content of this workshop. So when we start talking about it, whatever I am talking about, take it and put it in the frame of your business context, right? And always ask your question to yourself: are you doing it? Are you not doing it? If you're not, in fact, I'd really appreciate if each of you all had a notebook and a pen with you, because sometimes I just want you to make notes of what this is and apply it and answer for yourself. Yes, no, how much, maybe, right? If you can get that or keep it in your phone or somewhere, it'll be really appreciated. It'll be useful. Yeah. Okay, let's start. Outside in versus inside out approach. This is nothing new, right? All of you all know this. Can someone tell me quickly what this means? I told you this is all about you all participating. Aljo, would you like to give it a shot?
Outside in mean you telling us, and we inside out is we telling you.
It's not you and me, Shrikant. It's your business and the world it interacts with.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyone wants to give it a shot, because I really want the answers to come from you all guys. Aljo, would you give it a shot?
Basically, when we do a business, we do have an insight from the market, and once we implement it, and then automatically it goes out, and it's a kind of a feedback mechanism. Whatever we learn, we implement, or we need to listen the outside market, something like this, and then start implementing it.
Right.
So
Yeah,
this basically becomes a revision, right, Anjali, from the Microsoft. So I would like to take a jab if I'm still sure that I know, right? So it's basically the outside-in approaches. Businesses looking at uh, key successes that we have achieved from a client value perspective, and inside out is basically the capabilities and the strength that the organization has.
Yeah. Kind of. So essentially what happens is an inside out approach is saying that I have these products, right? This is my strength, and hence I've created this business and these are my products. I need to take these products and go find customers. An outside in approach is, what does the market need? What is the need out there that I can fulfill? So you're getting a constant feedback from the market outside and then creating your product to fit into the needs of that market, right? So the approach is, what I have, I'll take it out, or what is needed there, I bring it in. And somewhere between these two, there's a sweet spot where your strength, your capabilities actually meet the needs of the market outside, right? That is the sweet spot. So it's constantly important that we keep getting a feedback from what's happening in the outside markets, right? That's what the outside-in approach is. The business model canvas. all of you all have gone through the business model canvas, right? It's not
Right.
new. But what happens typically is when we start the business, we put all of these factors in and we present it, we keep it for some time in front of us, and then it fades into the background because we're so busy running operations. Typical, right? Typical startup journey. But what I'm trying to bring back into emphasis here is that no, the business model canvas is literally like your map. It needs to stay in front of you all the time and almost like this with all those parameters put up one against the other so that you have a view, almost a complete view of what is it that you're trying to create with your business, right? So like any of y'all who are already doing this, keeping your business model canvas right in front of you all the time to keep, reiterating to yourself, what's the purpose? What's the direction? Most of us don't do it, right? So that's why, please, my honest submission to you, bring it up again, fill it up again, and always keep it in front of you. This is something that, when you create it, or if you already have one created, just take a look at these. In your columns of key partners, right? If you have only customers, do you think that's a good thing to do, to have? Guys, unmute and talk to me. No, please. First of all, I'm only seeing the screen. No, right?
Depends on nature of business, I suppose.
Any nature of any business, right? Your partners should be more than just customers.
Yeah, I think it's got to do with your technology partners, your financial partners, your banks, key customers, of course, and maybe
your vendors, your suppliers, your competitors. Yeah.
Even internal stakeholders, right? I mean, they'll be also your key partners.
Employees,
Employees, obviously.
Yeah. Advisors. So they're all your partners. So this list cannot be only customers. And let's look at your value proposition, right? If it's a long list, then and you're confused about it, you need to rethink it. Yeah. Your value proposition should be crystal clear. It's very important. Your customer relationships. What's the relationship you have with your customer? Is it again a very confused, set of details you have in there? Relook at it, because the relationship with your customer is key and important, needs to be clear. Customer segments. Do you have long, undifferentiated segments? Again, something that's not healthy for a business. It should be extremely crisp, clear, well-defined, right? So similarly, look at your channels. Are there too many? Are they unclear? What's working? What's not working? Look at your revenue streams, right? Do you have too many? Do you have too less? The ones that are working can, so basically what I'm trying to get across is your business model canvas can give you insights into a lot of things about your business with one look at it, right? So constantly, I will share this deck with you all. So constantly create this, keep it in front of you, discuss it, and keep working on it. Yeah?
You're right.
Sure.
Okay. So some symptoms of...
so Anjali, I have a question, Malesh here.
Yes.
So in your experience from the corporates, right? So because so many leaders, so many verticals, so many lines of business, revenue streams, P&L, responsibility holders, etc. So is it something that is leveraged in corporate as well, or this framework is primarily for startup leaders?
Corporates have many more such models, no? Because they're more siloed. They have, this is for small operations. I don't think a corporate can bring all of it into this sheet. And typically, by the time they've reached that stage of being a large corporate or enterprise, they have made this very part of their DNA, and they have it very clear. Otherwise, they
and
wouldn't
it
have grown
doesn't
to that
change
level.
much from quarter to quarter or something like that.
It's always changing, I'm sure. I mean, it has to, because there has to be an outside-in approach.
Okay.
But the relevance is more for us as startups and entrepreneurs. And I don't mean early stage startups. I do mean growth stage startups, right? When you're scaling, it's very important because it starts doing well and you're in the growth stage and now you're neck deep in operations. You're neck deep in constantly fighting one battle after the other, right? Because that's the nature of the beast. So that's when all of this goes into the background. So I'm asking you to pull it back in front, right? So
So one more question. So the reason why I ask is that is this framework or sort of a dashboard to keep in mind for founders, CXOs, or it should go to VP level folks as well?
No, it's for founders.
Okay.
Yeah,
so I think it just helps prioritize the areas that you want to focus on, right? Like, because what happens is as startups, it's never dearth of opportunity. It's just too many opportunities, right? And it's too little resources. So unless you're able to basically say that out of these 10, these are 2 and only 2 I'm going to look at, right? And this is where my money is going, you'll always be out of money. And you'll never be able to do justice to a complete area. So I think that's where, at least my view is, that's where it helps. I mean, there could be more.
Absolutely. Because, what tends to happen with startups is, let's say they have a product, but, they're getting some good revenues from some kind of a service or something. They get derooted there, right? Then they start spending more time here. Then they need to come back here. So they're always in this mode of fuzziness, right? Which is the best path to take. But if you have this in front of you, it will give you clarity.
Yeah. Thanks.
Okay, so some symptoms. I don't think any of you are going through this from our reviews with you, but essentially, if your customers are saying they don't understand your product, if your sales cycles are too long, right, and if your sales team give you the feedback that they need to be convincing everyone all the time, if your cost structures are very high, if your customers are not using the product the way you intended them to use it, these are all symptoms that something is not quite right? So this just have an overview of this. So essentially there are 2 things that every startup needs to get right. It's literally these 2 things. It's the business model and the people who are going to make that business model work for you. Yeah. Okay, so where do you think this ask piece comes in, right? So when we say we want to be in that sweet spot where an outside-in approach matches the inside-out, how would you know the outside-in, right? You'll know it only when you start having conversations with stakeholders, right? So let me ask you, before I come to this slide, let me ask you, who are your stakeholders? Just unmute and give me some examples. Who's a stakeholder, guys? I want you all to tell me. You'll all have answers to these questions.
The personas, the
employees, shareholders, customers, partners.
Pretty much everyone directly, indirectly associated in the growth of your startup.
Yes.
So I think the first and foremost is who's the user of the product, right? Who's using the product? So
the user
become the primary.
The user personas, right?
User, employee, shareholder, investor. It's also your competitor, because it's anybody who is impacted by your business. Whether you grow or you don't grow, it impacts them, right? So it's also your competitors.
I'd even go ahead and put even our mentors, support functions, everyone as stakeholders.
Yeah. So a stakeholder list is it's a long list. There are a lot of people who are involved with you, right? So a mentor may not be directly impacted in a tangible sense, but he's emotionally invested with you. Your growth matters to him. So yes, he's also your stakeholder, right? So we have a bunch of stakeholders, and how much are we listening to them? And I'm saying listening, I don't mean just, like advice kind of listening. I'm saying to understand what are they saying, right? So do we even go and ask them, right? We don't go ask. Most of the time, I don't think you guys are sitting and asking your employees or your customers or your competitors or your suppliers, your vendors. Are you asking them, hey, what's going on in the field? How easy is it for you to sell this product? What do you think of this product? Etc., etc. But let's say, do you take a perspective in the sense, can you actually ask them, if you were building this business, what would you do? Right? Admit that you don't know everything, right? So given that I don't know this, how do you think you can help me get this feedback? Active listening when they're talking, right? So essentially what we're saying is make a connect with people, right? To your business. What I call it is literally enroll people. Enroll people into your vision. So they all get invested in working with you, in understanding your product, your needs, and bring the feedback from the outside world to you. Right? So that you have not just you and your team that works for you, but an extended team, like how the Wadhwani team is working with you. Right? How often do we do this? We don't do it too often. You know?
Yeah, we don't do it too often.
Yeah. I think basically, even just as Maddie, if you're going to be sending me emails when I'm having this session with you, I'm going to make you.
I'm sorry, it was in my draft. I just sent it because I needed space to make notes.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So let's. I think the point I was making is that exactly what Maddie just did, or could have done. His draft might have just gone. But I'm saying we don't listen. We all as human beings have a problem in listening. Active listening is really about getting this other person, not just what he's saying, but what he's not saying. Right? Active listening is getting the entirety of this person and what they're trying to communicate, because they're communicating with you with body language, with tone, with the context. Your relationship with them makes you understand them better, right? There's so many aspects to active listening. So what I would like to do here is quickly have a conversation, right? Let's do a quick role play. I need 2 volunteers where we're going to have a co-creation conversations. These are called co-creation conversations, where you're actually inviting someone into your space to create your business with you, right? So we can take a customer example, or we can take an employee example. But can we just have like a quick role play and see how we do this? And guys, I just want to lay this straight, right? My way of working, or preferred way of working with everyone, is that we are all at this point in time one team, right? I don't want to be careful about crossing my T's and dotting my I's. I want to be just raw, okay? If the feedback has to hit you, so be it, because I want you to learn from it, right? And I don't want you to have any kind of a wail when you come forward, because all of us are in this game together and we all want each other to win. That's the spirit of this whole program. That's the camaraderie, that's the peer learning, etc. Right? So let's come forth, have a role play, and everyone give your feedback to this person just as raw as you can, because I don't think anyone needs to feel bad, because all of us will learn. Yeah, we're not youngsters, right? So
Sure.
can I have 2 volunteers? One will be a customer and one will be a founder. I'll quickly do a role play. Ramya, great. Customer or founder?
Customer.
Okay.
Okay, I'll be the founder.
Who's that?
Malaysia.
Okay, great. So over to y'all. 5 minutes. So the rest of y'all just have a note down, right? What is this conversation going like a co-creation conversation? What is the fabric of a co-creation conversation? It's not a selling conversation. It's a conversation where I enroll you onto my vision. But I'm trying to hear from you. What are your needs? What are your problems? So that, and how can I build a solution, or does my solution meet those needs, right? So it's on a different level. Yeah, make sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, Malesh and Ramya, over to you.
So I'll keep my product, which does automation of certain tasks which are done manually, at the center in this discussion, just for the context.
Yeah.
So right. So so in your current business processes, do you think you are excessively staffed, or your manpower is making mistakes in running the business processes, and you are losing money because of it?
Yeah, definitely. I would say we are not excessively staffed and we could do with some automation. So I would like to know what kind of automation you can provide.
So there are various ways of looking at automation, but what I want to understand from you is that what is which part of the task that your manpower does, which can be automated, which can have highest economic impact. That is, it can result in maximum savings. That's one way of looking at it. And the second is that it can boost your customer experience in a substantial manner. So any of those two types of problems where you think you're losing money, or anything where customer experience can be boosted by automating some things?
Yeah, how would I prioritize, say, the customer leads that I get? And is there a way to automate it? Manually going through hundreds of them is tedious, and we may end up losing some good potential customers.
Yes, there is a way to automate it. So that is one business process we can delve into. Like I said, automation can create two values. One is plugging, reducing your cost, but anything on the customer experience side. So what I mean by customer experience, if there is a process where you want to reply to the customer very quickly within seconds, or without any manual intervention, where there is a manual intervention in the loop. Can you think of any process like that as well?
Yeah, like you said, I think within seconds.
I'm going to take time off.
Okay.
Okay. I want everyone to share with me. Was this a co-creation conversation? What are your thoughts?
I think it was more of a selling pitch rather than co-creation.
Sounded like a requirements gathering.
Correct.
Session.
Problem or resolution to a problem.
Yeah, Ramya was being really, really nice, right? I don't know if customers are like that. Saying, yes, sure, I have a problem. Please help me find which product of you.
Yeah.
Sorry, Ramya.
Yeah, it was open-ended questioning without having any context of what is being offered.
Correct.
And it was like being on the interrogation spot.
And Malesh is not the only one, right? I think 90% of the folks have, all of us behave like this, right? Unless we are conscious about it and we shift it, right?
Yeah.
What are the characteristics of a co-creation conversation? It is to enroll the person onto your vision. To enroll the person onto your vision, how would you do it? You need to listen in and ask them what's their current situation. How is it impacting them? Do they have a problem? Then you just say that, I'm building this solution, or I've been running this business and this is what it does. Do you think it might be of use to you? Because you're at a founder level now. You're not salespeople, right? You're not going to go and hit them with a sales arrow. You're going to enroll them. I keep repeating it because I really want it to stay as a statement. Enroll them onto your vision. Enrollment is a process where you bring them into a fold where emotionally and otherwise they're invested in your vision. Emotionally, financially, mentally, whatever. So it's heavyweight. It's a relationship that you bring in, right? So does anyone else want to give it a shot, or I can give it a shot as the one who's not the customer, who's selling, not selling though. Cocreating? Or anyone else here willing to take a shot? Only problem is Avinash?
You want me to be the customer?
Yeah.
Sure.
I don't know which product to sell though. That's my whole problem.
So I can give it a shot. I can try and sell what we do at Finovate.
Okay. So Aljo and Avinash.
Okay.
So start from the very beginning, right? So give Avinash a profile.
Sure.
And then greet him, etc.
Of course.
So he's what is your profile of customers typically, Aljo?
Well, we'll probably get Avinash at the end of this.
Okay, and note down feedback points. Okay,
sure.
Over to you.
Yeah, Avinash, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, Adrio.
Hey, so great to connect with you. Yeah, and lovely catching up out here. But so thanks for making the time first of all, and it's good that we could have this chat. So specifically, just wanted to kind of bring you up to speed in terms of what we are doing here. What we've realized is that the startup ecosystem, while it's creating so much of value, is always struggling for capital, right? And you need to get your runway to go as far as you can get it to go. Right. So any money that you have has to necessarily go towards, building capacity. And that is the mission we are on. Right. And any money that you need to run your business should come from the lenders that are there externally. Right. So because what that helps you do is it helps you get off the startup treadmill, and it helps you take the value of your company higher subsequently, right? For every round. So just wanted to kind of, circle back with you on this one and figure out how we could help you. Yeah. Because just to give you a view, we work with about 22 lenders in the Indian ecosystem, of whom 12 are strategic lenders. So any sort of stakeholders that you work with, be it suppliers or customers that you sell to, we can either help you pay them later or collect faster. So that way, our ambition is to make most companies in the Indian ecosystem a negative working capital cycle company, right? So would be great to kind of, I know it's a lot that I just put out there, but would be interesting to kind of hear your thoughts on this one. Yeah.
So again, thanks for having me again, Vijay. So the first question is, when you talk about having lenders on your platform, are you giving me an option to select the lenders that I would want to engage with, or is the lenders also choosing us?
So great question, right? So typically, I mean, if you went out there and you went through a typical marketplace, right, the struggle that you would have out there is that, first of all, every lender looks at the world differently, right? Everyone's got a different criteria that they lend to. They may or may not lend to you, right? So you've got to identify, first of all, who are the right lenders to go to. Then once you go to them, not everyone will be able to take a complete exposure on whatever is the opportunity that you are trying to cater to, right? Then you've got to deal with multiple lenders. Each of them will give you a different criteria saying, this is how I look at the lending universe. So it just increases your complexity. What we do as a platform is we become your single interface to multiple lenders, right? So what we do is we collect data about your business, organize it in a certain way, create the right level of homogeneity. And because these lenders are all strategic lenders for me, I prepare a lender note that presents your case in a certain way. So all of them look at it uniformly. So there are different suppliers who fall into different buckets for each of these different cohorts. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay. I want you all to quickly give me feedback. Unmute and give me feedback.
Aljo, you're selling hard, man. You're selling too hard. Yeah. Too aggressive, Aljo. Yeah.
I mean, the goal is to make the customer speak and listen to him. I guess more listening is with the theme. So I guess that was.
I was just getting to the listening part. I never got there.
You didn't let that guy open his mouth, man.
Yeah. This is the best role play ever. So you don't have to do much.
Avinash could have muted and gone away, and you wouldn't have known the difference, man.
No, but to be fair, we do take some time to set the context.
No.
Yeah,
Just kidding. Yeah.
That is definitely the case. You need some time to set the context.
No. Okay, let me give you an idea.
I was trying to enroll him into my
context.
vision. Sorry.
Yeah, but how will you enroll him without even knowing what he wants to be enrolled into? Do you know anything about him? Literally the first sentence you made was, let me bring you up to speed.
No, that's correct, right? Because how would you know what to tell me otherwise?
Let me give you an example. Okay, though I don't know your businesses too well, and I'll flounder there. But let me attempt with the same business, right, of Innovate. And Avinash is my customer. So, and Avinash is running what? Some FMCG company, and you're heading operations there, right? Or you're
So
heading
AGO can help us. What's the persona that you sell to? Who are your customers? Aljo, sorry.
Yep. So we sell largely to promoters, founders, or largely. I mean, see, CFOs, head of sales, yes, but largely more promoter founders, if we could.
Okay. Okay, so I'll quickly give you an idea, right? And if I make some mistakes in terms of what the product offers, etc., please ignore it. But I just want you to get the drift. So hi, Avinash.
Hey, hi, Anjali. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much for this time. Yeah, I really appreciate it.
My
How
pleasure.
are you doing?
I'm doing good.
Yeah, glad to know that, right? These are like some crazy times.
Definitely. Yeah. I don't want to get into that. I think everyone we speak to, we do speak about the same thing. So
absolutely. Same here, yeah. It's really crazy. So Avinash, I wanted to check with you, right? I just, I'm building a product, and, it's been successful in the market. I'll come to it a little bit later, but I wanted to ask you, how do you deal with, the gaps that you have in working capital, right? For your vendors and, other suppliers. Is that something that has been concerning your business of late?
I think that's always been a challenge, right? So though we have a very clear earn and burn calculation every month, and then we do have our EBITDA being tracked, the outstanding, the collection is where startups like us fail. If we do not have the revenues coming in on time, it impacts all our payments, vendor payments, salary payouts, everything and so forth. And then it's a chain reaction after that.
Yeah. Absolutely. So how it impacts the overall health of the business across different stakeholders.
True. I can show you everything on the books, right? So as a startup, you know what, this is my revenue, this is my spend, this is what my runway is. But if I don't have cash in the bank, then it's no point, right? So that's where survival becomes very difficult.
Yeah. So Avinash, I just wanted to take you through, what we have built, and we're aiming to solve exactly this problem of, this working capital not being available, right? And people getting impacted. So this is my product, and this is how it works. So just have a look at it, see if, you have any inputs to share with me, and if this product if you think it kind of meets any needs of yours, then I'll be happy to chat with you further on it. But this is the way it works, and this is what we are planning for the future. I do believe that it could serve some needs of yours, but let me know what you think about it, and we'll keep the conversation going, right? I'm cutting short the conversation because we don't have too much time. But that's the drift, right? I want you all to give me feedback.
No, I think it was great because you allowed him to open up, and the point was that you allowed him to talk about his problem, and you anchored him in terms of from a financing perspective where you wanted him to sort of speak about, right, and literally sort of get him to talk about that. So that was good.
So Anjali, we're clearly looking for a head of sales.
Very kind
so
of you.
Anjali, one of the key things is, so we in enterprise sales we do this. We go to meet VP IT and then ask him, can I also stop by VP Finance or VP Digital Solutions or VP Innovations, and then we do this, right? This used to happen when we used to do field sales, that is actually going to the office of the customer. But in the current online world, it's like, unless I give an agenda, there is no time slot coming back, right? Like a clear agenda. So it's unless, so the initial part of it, sort of getting them interested, happens on the email itself, and then we have a clear agenda. And then, at least in my area, what ends up happening is, when we are talking somebody in VP or senior VP position in decision making, this thing, because they also have very limited time on hand, they also want to get straight to the meat of it, right? So I'm just trying to, think that how do we place these two things?
I
Yeah.
hear you. I hear you. But I'll tell you what, most often that's our assumption that they don't have the time and we have to get to the meat of it. Let's quickly tell him what I'm here to do because he doesn't have time. No, if you're genuinely, see, and I don't know the product too well, but otherwise I'm genuinely interested in talking to Avinash. I'm genuinely interested in getting his feedback. The minute you make this person feel that you are interested to listen to his problem, right? To listen to his world, then he gives you the time. So I get, and see, there is a fine balance. It's not always like this, but your aim should be to get to this kind of conversations because you are a founder now, right? So we are not the salespeople of one organization going to sell to another organization. No, you are the owner. Like Mukesh Ambani will not have a conversation like a sales conversation. He'll have a high-level conversation, needs gathering, sharing, and then he's gone. The sales guys will then do the selling. So I'm saying as founders, it's all about building those relationships. It's all about hearing them out. So you have to pitch yourself at that level. And with a very genuine effort, not just to get the sales deal. It doesn't matter whether, really you should go with the mind frame that it doesn't matter whether you get the deal. But you want this guy as a friend, a stakeholder. Like for example, I'll share with you all in one of the Microsoft cohorts, at the end of this, we'll be giving you an exercise to do where you actually go talk to stakeholders, understand their needs, right? And enroll them onto your vision, your mission, or whatever it is that you're struggling with. So I'll bring it into how this actually falls in a real life example. So there's this guy who was doing social listening for Airtel, right? And Airtel had a very specific ask of him, and Airtel was his biggest customer, right? And he could not afford to cater to that ask because if he had to invest about 3-4 people to just meet that ask of Airtel. So he didn't have the financial wherewithal to put that there and meet that demand, and it won't work for him. So he went and he spoke to the Airtel guy and he said, see, I would love to cater to your ask, but I sincerely have a problem. I cannot do this because of this reason. It just doesn't work out for me. So then he told the customer, I understand your problem. So share a little bit more about your problem. So the customer said, this problem, or whatever. So he said, do you think, right? Do you think you can have 3-4 of your people work on this project for me, right? 2-3 months of your 4 people's work on this, and then I'll be able to deliver it. The customer thought about it and said, yeah, I think that's a doable thing. I need it. You have a solution. You're not able to do it just for me. Your pricing will be beyond my means. So he said, okay, I'll deploy 2-3 resources for you to take care of this. So what happens in a co-creation conversation is people start opening up their actual issues and put it on the table. In a way, you make yourself vulnerable, and the customer also is vulnerable. That kind of that bridge which is there becomes a bridge which becomes open to each other, right? So that's co-creating conversations. So I know it's not always going to be let's talk about the weather, let's talk about the needs of this. I get it. I've been in sales, so I know. But I'm saying every time we need to somehow shift it into making that person feel is the word, not think. Feel that you're there and you're interested in what he has to say and what his problem is. And then you're there to share what you have built, and you're there to get his feedback on what you've built because you are interested in knowing what he thinks.
Understood.
So I want any questions on this, please ask me. Maybe even at the end of the session, we'll do one more role play because post this session, the exercise you'll have is to have at least 5 conversations of co-creation. It could be with your employees. It could be with your customers. It could be with your competitors. Like in competitor, I'll give you an example. There was this banking fraud solution in one of our cohorts in Microsoft, and there's strong competition in other markets was, let's say, ABC. And we said, go talk to your competitors, right? I said, why will I talk to my competitor? Mad or what? I said, no, just do it as part of this exercise. Wherever you think this competitor can actually join hands with you, or, so they were very scared, very skeptical, but they said, let's just give it a shot. What is there to lose? So I actually had a conversation with a similar company that caters to Israel and those markets. And they said, do you think we can partner on something like this? This is what we do. So what they're doing is they're opening themselves up to know. When I say no, as in like no as an answer, because most of us are afraid of no as an answer. We hold ourselves back, right? So they wanted to check if this large giant of a competitor of theirs was open to partnering with them. But they never would have thought about it. But they said, can we co-create? And those guys said, you know what, I think it's not a bad idea, because India is not a market we understand. And we do trust you. We'll do some due diligence, however, but we can explore it. So they did explore. I don't know what happened later on, but so co-creation conversations bring out something that you never expected would happen. Because you don't stop yourself from asking, right? That's where the whole ask framework was coming in. We'll come back. I'll go back to this screen, and we'll come back to talk about this later. Yeah, so we did the exercise, and we became aware of how all of us have this need to sell, have this need to prove something. All of us have an innate ability not to listen, not just in sales conversations or in business, even as human beings. If you ask your wife or your husband or your mother, ask them how well you listen, genuinely, and see what the feedback is. Okay, so let's look at what is a startup, right? A startup is a temporary organization designed to search for a repeatable and scalable business model. Let's look at this definition, which is a very famous or well-known definition of a startup. And let's see why this definition became strong. A temporary organization. What does he mean by a temporary organization? A startup is a temporary organization because it is agile. It's always learning. It's always open. It's moving on the move, right? It's always on the move and collecting feedback, collecting data, and changing. It is designed to search, because the startup is always searching for what needs to be better, what is the need, who's the competitor, always got its ears to the ground and getting active feedback outside in, right? This is how a startup should be. So just watch out for a temporary organization. It's designed to search. The way it operates is it's constantly searching for feedback. For a repeatable and scalable, because a startup needs to scale and it needs to be able to repeat it in different markets, repeat it across different segments. Business model, right? So what are the reason we put this here is, a lot of us sometimes think we're a growth stage company. We're not a startup. A startup is like, a lot of people call Flipkart a startup till date, right? It's because it's a new idea and it's grown. So don't look at startup as an early stage definition or anything like that. But startup is a very fancy word according to us. It's a fad because it's hip to call yourself a startup, right? Because you are creating new pathways when you're a startup. You're innovating on the go, and you're growing, and you're getting investments. So that's the whole adventure about being a startup. So just to keep it open to you all that, as a startup or as an organization, before it becomes that corporate, which is a which is a beast in itself, where a lot of things go out of your control. When you're building your organization, you still need to be very agile. Keep it as a temporary structure. Keep building new structures, letting go of old structures based on feedback from the market, and make sure that it's always something that is scalable and repeatable. What is customer development? It is an iterative process through which startups listen to the market in order to discover a real market pain and build a sustainable business model. So I guess literally, 2-3 points that will keep coming to you based on in this workshop is the fact that we need to listen, we need to bring it into the business model, and we need to watch that business model, right? And always understand the pain of the customer or the market and the real pain, right? Sometimes, sometimes what happens is customers themselves don't know what they want. So what you think the customers want may be different from what they want. What they think they want may be very different from what they actually want. And what customers and other stakeholders want may change over time. In fact, it always changes over time, especially in the given markets that we are operating in. Everything is changing constantly, right? So extremely important to get an active feedback loop and active listening happening all the time. So who do you co-create with? Best is to co-create with your customers, right? Your customers can be a variety of stakeholders, because your customers can sometimes become your investors. They can become salespeople. They can actually sell for you. They can partner with you, like the Airtel example. And they co-create the future with you, because if they're constantly giving you feedback, it's literally helping you create the future of your company, right? Because I'll tell you how important this is. Pfizer was developing a medicine for blood pressure, right? And the typical way they do it, right? They keep doing these medical trials and stuff like that. And the feedback they were getting, because they had a fantastic team that was constantly getting feedback from their customers. No wonder they're such a giant today, right? Because the feedback mechanism is so important for them. The feedback they were getting is not working for the blood pressure. But just hear me out on this. The feedback, the relationship between this team that was getting the feedback and the customers was so strong. And the customer gave them some very, I would say, intimate details by saying that, you know what, it's not working on this, but it's working for me on this. Believe it or not, that's how Viagra was born. So I'm saying that's the kind of relationship you need to have with your customer, where they feel open to share with you and help you build your business, right? So unless the customer is talking to you and sharing with you, you're not really there feeling the pulse of the customer. Unless you feel the pulse of the customer, you won't be able to go very far. So who can you co-create with? Other entrepreneurs. That's another great resource pool, guys. It's a great resource pool, which very sadly is most underutilized. Yeah. How many other times in so many cohorts we've tried to bring founders together and say, see if you can co-create with each other. But somehow it doesn't work. I don't know who to blame or who not to blame, or to blame ourselves because we haven't been able to make that work for y'all. But if two startups can co-create together, it's be fantastic. So this is like a little bit like an investor kind of an advice, but it's also applicable for customers, suppliers, etc. So there's been a learning, right? So ask for money, you get nothing. Ask for advice, you'll probably get money. Have any of your experiences?
Yes.
It's happened with us. So one of our advisors became our investor. I mean, though the intent was never to go and get money from him.
See, you hit the nail on the head. Because Genuinely, I'm saying, don't go with an intent, oh, I will ask you advice, but I really want money. That also won't work. Genuinely ask people for advice, what they think, what's going on, what's their problem. And you might just end up with money, right? So wallets always come with faces, faces often come with wallets.
Actually, now that you mentioned this has happened a couple of times. So one of our customers as well. I mean, we didn't take it very seriously, but he wanted to buy us out. But anyway.
Yep. Okay, so the fundamental mechanism of co-creating high-value partnership is ask. Okay, so before I go to this part of it, right? So let me just come to quickly requesting you all to have your pen and paper ready. Do you have a pen and paper ready? Most of you will have. I know Maddie should have. At least he has his laptop.
No, I've got both now. I finally found a set of papers, and then I've got my pen, so I'm ready.
Okay, 1 minute. Let me stop share and quickly ask a few questions here. How many of you all are familiar with the effectuation theory by Saraswati? Maddie, yes. Okay. Anyone else? Okay. It's a fantastic framework, guys. I mean, I can never praise it enough. It's just 3-4 parameters around which you ask yourself some questions and jot down, okay, answers to it. Of course, it won't come to you, like I would say, put it on a sheet of paper and keep filling it as you keep thinking about it, right? So I'll take you through that framework quickly now and fill it up for yourselves, write these questions. So we're going to start asking questions. First, you're going to ask yourself, who am I? What do I know? And whom do I know? So typically, this is in context of your business. So when I say, who am I? You're going to ask yourself, that means, what are your strengths? What's your passion? What do you care about? What's your mission? Why this startup for you, right? So just note it down. Keep 1 page for each of these questions. So who am I? What do I know? And whom do I know? Which is relevant to my business, right? Starting with why, what is the passion, why you started this business, who do you know who can support you in this business, what do you know that is going to help you make this business successful. I would, if this was a face-to-face session, I would have left you with these questions for about half an hour and come back, because it's just phenomenal. When people actually go through this and jot it down, there's so much that can come out from that, right? But please, my honest submission, take some time out today and fill this. It's a weekend. So whenever you can, just take a workbook, fill these questions, answers for these questions in that, right? It will be useful. So the first thing is ask yourself. So this is the bird in hand philosophy according to Saraswati. So what do I have already, right? What do I have in my possession? What are my strengths? Why is my screen not moving, guys? 1 sec. Y'all can hear me, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Now, this is again an extremely powerful concept called affordable loss, right? What is affordable loss? Any guesses here? What is affordable loss? It literally explains itself. Yeah.
It's a loss.
Maddie, you know the effectuation. Keep quiet.
Okay. All right. Sure. Okay.
I'll let the others try.
Risk you're willing to take.
Yeah.
Even if we lose, it should not matter much.
Correct.
Kind of the stop loss in your risk versus reward analysis is the stop loss, that this is where you should not be going below this.
Yeah. Now I'll let Maddie answer. Maddie, quickly.
Yeah, it's more or less. So what is it I'm ready to leave, sacrifice, or let the risk happen to me to be able to meet my objectives? So it's something about that.
So it's very important to always know what is your affordable loss. But to know my affordable loss is one aspect of it. It is important to know. I'm just going to check your, see, we're almost at the end of the session time allotted. Do you all mind spending another 15, 20 minutes? Anyone has a problem? Because I'm just delving into a very important subject.
I'm good.
Yeah.
Continue.
Yeah, we want to continue. Yeah.
Okay.
Please continue.
Because, yeah, so affordable loss of mine is one aspect of it. But each person has an affordable loss, right? And somebody's affordable loss can become a very important element in your business. So how do you engage, enroll, and co-create with that person so that he brings his affordable loss, which is a very key ingredient in your business? So you see, it needs a little bit more thinking. So you will have to sit and put elements of your business which are important, and then go back to map whose affordable loss would it be, and then have a co-creation conversation with them. I'll give you an example which will make it very simple. So when Richard Branson started his airline company, Virgin Atlantic, right? When he wanted to start his airline company, he was thinking about, for whom will it be an affordable loss? An aircraft. For whom will an aircraft be an affordable loss?
The aircraft company itself, manufacturer.
Manufacturing company.
Yeah. So he went to Boeing, he went to a few others, and then he went to Boeing and he said, see, at any point in time, you have 2-3 aircrafts just sitting in your hangars, right? Just give it to me to use for 1 year. If I make profits on it, I will share it with you. If I don't make profits on it, I'll pay back the maintenance of that aircraft and give it to you. Because it was an affordable loss. It is just sitting in their hangar. This guy wanted to build his business, where he wanted to start an aircraft company. So they actually got into a contract. And that's how Virgin Atlantic was born.
This is also a story of Zoomcar, how Zoomcar raised their funding. They went to a guy who had a lot of luxury cars sitting idle. And even he himself was a stellar entrepreneur. But then his cars weren't getting used. So Zoomcar founder went and they asked, can I borrow? If I could, offer this car as a vanity to some of the customers, I'll pay, I'll make profit, I'll give you a share. Otherwise, and you can even invest. Otherwise, I'll pay you money back, in rent. So he was anyway giving the cars out on rent. He agreed to it. So he calculated the affordable loss. I mean, when it's about effecting the loss. That's what this means.
Yeah, yeah. In fact, how was Airbnb born? Right? It was it was an affordable loss for themselves, and then affordable loss for all the others who participated. In fact, I didn't know this, but it's a very interesting and fascinating story of Airbnb. When these guys, the founders, didn't have money to pay their rent. So they said, let's put up an airbag. That's why Airbnb. Let's serve them breakfast, which is Kellogg's, right? And rent out the place to pay our rent. That's how the idea was born. And then they said, who else? There are other people who probably need some money and have space in their homes, affordable loss. Let's go and enroll them to co-create with us, right? So that's how Airbnb was born. It's a long story, and we can connect each principle of effectuation with that. But I will, right? So affordable loss, the way I want you all to look at it is open another sheet, put affordable loss, put your affordable loss, put the other important aspects of your business where you think you can get partnerships or collaborations, put those areas, and then map it to whom it could be an affordable loss, just as an exercise. Yeah? Okay, so and any questions at any point, you can always ping me and we can discuss it. So every time it stops functioning, every time I do a screen share. It's not moving, man.
Maybe if you click on it on the screen.
Okay, it moved.
Yeah.
So who to ask, when and where to ask, what can they afford to lose, what would make it affordable to them, all of those questions, right? So the next one is crazy quilt. Okay. I'll come back. All of you know what's a crazy quilt, right?
No idea.
You stitch
What's a
up a
quilt?
lot of things.
Yeah.
Leftover bed sheets to whatever you could.
Maddie.
Okay.
Maddie. I want the others. Santosh, Akshat, Ramya. You know a quilt, guys. It's stitched up with, like he was saying, different types of cloth, right?
Yeah.
And lots of cloth lying around, and you make some new use of it. I mean, the way Gunj, an NGO, is doing right now is collecting a lot of material, which nobody wants anyway, but it is still in good condition, making and repurposing it.
So basically,
I
it's
think
a bunch of
another, if you remember last year post the COVID one, or the first phase, there were a lot of unused PP kits and the masks which were disposed. I think they were shredded and then threaded into ropes, which were being used by low-income groups for various other purposes. It's kind of a creative way to use things which are no longer being used out to the
essentially a quilt is made of
Yes.
different types of designs of cloth.
Right.
And they stitch it together, right? It is like your organization. You have different departments. Each has their own flavor, structure, whatever. You as a founder, you are the fabric that stitches it all together. So you have to see yourself constantly as the fabric of your organization is dependent on you. But your organization is a crazy quilt. It has different people who have different objectives, who have different strengths, who have different challenges, but they all need to be coming together and coming together beautifully. So a crazy quilt will look good only when it is stitched well together. Right? So from a founder perspective, you need to constantly look at what are those different designs you need in your quilt, right? So what are the different departments? What are the different skills? Identify all of that, and how are you going to bring it together? So exponentially grow network of stakeholders so that you have different people giving you different inputs, different support as different pieces of cloth in the quilt. Get others to ask for you, right? Because, okay, so this also moves on to a point where it's not going to be only once you're able to bring these different people, get them invested in your business, then you've enrolled them into your vision. You're going to be asking them to ask on your behalf. So an employee gets so enrolled into your vision for the organization that he feels your vision is his vision. So he's going to go and ask people, right, to co-create along with you. So what we want to do is, as a quilt has different fabric, different people, different structures, different designs, you're going to bring many people together as a founder. You're going to weave them together, keep them together, and make all of them work for you. You're going to ask strangers. Strangers are going to ask for you, right? So it's about building a network of people, stakeholders, enrolling them onto your vision. I keep repeating these words because I literally want you to soak those words in. Enroll, ask, co-create, right? And you as the founder are going to be the fabric that stitches and weaves all of it together. So last, like we'll just spend 10 minutes on this. Why do we kind of find it hard to ask? Do you agree we all find it difficult to ask?
Yeah, I find it really hard to ask, for anything, even if it's for a simple feedback or to ask. It's like the first thing is I'm making somebody uncomfortable. Immediate thing is, and second thing is I'll have to repay back or reciprocate. I'm not able to And the third thing I think about it is I don't qualify to approach this person and ask. And asking also is almost like closely related to begging. And I feel like that sometimes.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
yeah, and conscious efforts are every day there to sort of tell none of those things. So don't be embarrassed. Straight away ask. Be shyless, whatever they say it. Don't be ashamed to ask. But it's still a really hard thing to do.
Mm.
Yeah.
So when you ask, it also comes with the next steps, which is implementing that ask, right? I mean, incorporating that feedback, in, so which is also a lot of if you're not serious about doing that, you'll shy away from asking itself.
No, other key aspect is also we should never be obliged just because we ask for a feedback, we incorporate everything, right? So we also have to have a filter to understand that what makes sense, what doesn't make sense. I think that's where we all, I don't know, Anjali, if you know this, right? We had an argument with Giri at Microsoft. So, he gave some feedback, but we were dead against it. No, we don't want to do that. I'm like, at that time, it was the right thing. We were very skeptical in our boardrooms that, we are going, Giri is giving such feedback, but we're not taking it. But it's the right move. I told, no, it doesn't. It deviates the business. And we stuck to our, thought, and then it did not impact us at all.
So Akshat,
that's a double-edged sword, no?
Huh?
That's a double-edged sword, right? I mean, because
no, Akshat, ask yourself this question while I heard you.
I mean, so I will not take on any feedback that comes my way, right? I mean, I will, of course, if there is merit to it, only then I'll take it. But then you need to be open to taking that feedback, right? I mean, you need to be open to saying, okay, my business model can be a little bit flawed to even take the feedback in, right? But if you are very sure that your business model is sacrosanct and there is going to be, there is no scope for improvement, you'll never ask for feedback.
Can I just say that, so for me, the feedback is such that where it, for me, that's again, no, crossing what you feel, but feedback, wherever it comes from in any pattern, the fact that it has come and I'm the reason, or whatever is the reason is, the feedback has come my way itself without examining the merit or the source, or even if it's anonymous. It is definitely a stepping stone in the way or direction, and it's actually of a lot of value. At least it's the way I see it. And even if it's unrelated, at least I'll see the way that there is feedback. It's actually a good thing. And is there anything in for me of value that is up to me to evaluate? So that approach.
So one sec.
Yeah.
We are digressing a bit. So idea is not about the feedback that will come, etc. Why do we hesitate to ask? Even Akshat, to answer your question, that's just an assumption that, if I ask this guy and he gives me feedback and I don't take that feedback into thing, he'll feel bad. You're assuming.
No, but Anjali,
I think
let me just add on to what Akshat is saying, and let me tell you where we come from, right? When we're saying that, right? So the whole idea is when you're having a conversation with a person and you're asking for advice, it's because of the stature of the person and the respect that you give that individual, right? And when he gives you something, you may or may not do it in your business, but you're obligated to go back and give him an answer, right? But that requires you to go back, spend the time, introspect, understand whether it's correct or not, right? I mean, it's just respectful, because otherwise the next time you don't do this, they're not going to talk to you, right? So if you don't have the bandwidth to go back and process that information and then go back, best not ask is where he's coming from more
I
than
think the
anything else.
context is a little,
first for a
different.
couple of years, Anjali, if you
I'll
see,
just Santosh, give me 1 minute.
Yeah, sure.
So we are taking ask at a very high level here. I'm talking about just normal asks. Just normally in life, we don't ask. I'm not saying going to an investor and asking them for advice. I'm saying just in life in general, we don't ask. Because like Madhu said, it's almost like as if we're begging. We all hold ourselves back. We don't ask. Somebody to help me carry a bag on the road, I will think 100 times before I ask for help.
So, Anjali, like my take on this is more from I'll probably say a social angle to it, right? We, as we become breadwinners for the family, as we become founders also, then the rest of the society, people, our colleagues start looking, and they start thinking about, these guys must be studs. I mean, founders are studs, they know everything. I mean, they should be knowing everything, what shit they are getting into. So whenever there's something you feel helpless and you need to ask somebody, the first and foremost thing which at least was hindering me from going out to anybody, that what if the other person thinks, how did he get into this without not knowing all the answers? So there was definitely a self restraint which was there, which is holding me back from asking for any kind of help, be it suggestion, be it assistance about the business model, about the fundraising, anything it is. Then the other thing is that probably it also depends on how people have been brought up and how somebody has spent it. So I come from a very competitive educational background where if you are in the top of the class, you know all the answers, right? And there's no way for you to go and ask for any help. I mean, you cannot ask for a silly question. You cannot ask your parents for anything and all. So it's more of a very broad answer I'm giving, but this is something which seeds into the mentality, and I've seen like people or colleagues whom we work with, even with my employees, when I talk to them, why didn't you ask? And a couple of times I get an answer that, okay, probably I think I was hired for that, and if I don't know an answer, it's probably kind of I am looking down on myself, and that's the reason I did not have the courage to ask you for a guidance. So this is one very broad take on this question, but I think it is more of a social context, how we have been brought up and how we are perceived in the society. I mean, every time you post something on LinkedIn as a founder, you are celebrated as a hero, as if you are doing something stellar. But the only thing is that you have taken one step, but you are as good as anybody out there, and you also need the help to make it a success. So I think that's my take on this subject.
I appreciate that, Santosh, because I'm sure that rings true to a lot of other folks here, right? Including me, right? Because we all have these assumptions that, oh, if I ask, this started in school, yeah, we would hesitate to ask because, oh, what will they think of me?
Precisely.
Right? So, but not asking and stopping ourselves actually impedes our journey to success. So I don't want to keep going. I've already extended it by 20 minutes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this session to a close. I'm going to request you to do this homework. We'll drop you an email on what are those different parameters and how I want you to it's just for your own reflections, right? Even like what Santosh just shared or what Maddie just shared, if we are aware of how we are thinking, or Aljo and Akshat as well, right? They were talking in one context. So we're all making assumptions here on what somebody else is thinking about us, what we are thinking about somebody else, etc., etc. So I'll send that note out. Please, if you get the time, please, for my sake, sit and do those reflections, put those notes down. And next week, we're going to have a quick stakeholder development part 2. It'll be interesting for you all to come back and share. We will be sharing a toolkit called Customer Conversations. Please go through the toolkit. And as a homework for the toolkit, you will have 5 co-creation conversations. And the 5 co-creation conversations will give you insights. We want you to come back, share those insights. See, when we used to do this in Microsoft, we used to make them do 50 to 100 conversations over a week. Literally, they all used to fly down, stay with us. And for 3 days, just make calls. They'll make calls, their teams will make calls and speak to people with the co-creation frame in mind, right? So I'm requesting 5 co-creation conversations. So next week when we come, we'll have a short session, maybe half an hour, just to connect and kind of revise this and get some feedback on how the co-creation conversations happen. What were your thoughts on it? Yeah. Thank you, folks. There's a feedback survey. Please fill that for us for this session. And I'm always available on a call or email. Any questions, any thoughts? You all have my number, right? We're part of the WhatsApp group. Feel free to ping me.
Thanks, Anjali. It surely was a really good session.
Anjali. It was a nice session.
Thanks for reminding us of the important points we have missed in between all the things. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anjali.
Thank you.
All right. See you all.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys.
Stay safe.
Stay safe. Yeah.
Thank you.
Stop recording.